Let's start with making our petals. We will need wafer paper. I have 0.27 millimeters wafer paper, but any 0 grade or 80 grade wafer paper would work for that. My template. I'm going to use 28 gauge wire. That's what I have here in color white. A pair of scissors, a ball tool, my favorite brush to condition. Of course, I'm going to use my Wafer Paper conditioner that you can download with the templates on my website. And you will need some sort of petal former, spoon former, something that you like to place our petals to dry. We will need to create 5 petals, but because hellebore flower petals a little bit thicker, same as calla lily, tulips, and magnolia petals, I'm going to use double thickness wafer paper. So I'm going to use my petal as a guide and fold my wafer paper in half. For this application, because I'm going to use dry dust on my petals, I prefer to use shiny side. This side of my wafer paper is my face side. So my bumpy side is inside for both layers. And I'm going to roughly cut size of my petal. And you will need 5 of this. And I'll start with preparing my petal and helping with the shape. Just cutting on one side here. And to shape my petal, to condition and shape my petal, I'm going to use my Oasis Tonic. And I want this base of my petal, like my petal, to be white. That's why I'm going to use clear mixture without adding any color else. So I'll start with placing my petal on my table and applying thin layer of wafer paper conditioner only on one side in the middle. Then I'm going to place my wire here. And I cut at this pointed side because I find it's easier to sandwich my wire where I know how to align this both layers of wafer paper. So now I have my wire stuck in between 2 layers of wafer paper. I'm going to use my template and cut my petal. Now I have my petal. I'm going to shape it, but to do that, I'm going to apply another thin layer of my conditioner on the face side, because it's a little bit too dry in my studio today. And I wanted to make sure that I have enough moisture to be able to shape it the way I want it to. So this is going to be my face side, because here my wire is a little bit more visible. And what I'm going to do is place it on my foam pot face side down, and I'm going to take my ball tool and gently press around on top corners. Then turn it face side up towards me, take medium-sized ball tool and run it here to make it cupped. You can see that it's not flat anymore. But be gentle with your wafer paper and make sure that you have enough moisture so you can play around. And then I'm going to take this petal and move it and play around to make it cupped and to make it look like a hellebore petal. So I wanted this part to be more pointy and this part more round. So this is going to be my petal. When we are going to fold it like this, it looks like a hellebore petal. But I'm going to set it aside to dry. And while our petals are drying, let's start with making our center. For that, I will need 20 gauge wire, floral tape. I have 2 sets, half width and full width, stamens, and a piece of wafer paper. So first start with our center. I'm going to take my floral wire, this is 20 gauge, and cut it in half because that's enough for one flower. I'll take my full width floral tape and take a small piece and start twisting my floral tape to create this tentacle shape or the center for my flower. And I'm going to attach this to my wire and stretch it down. So now I have this piece that I can bend on the top of my wire, and I need to create 4 more of this and attach to my center. So I'll take 4 pieces of floral tape, start twisting to create something like this. and tape together with my other piece here and 3 more. So this way my inner piece is not going to be fragile and I won't be afraid to break it. But it still will stay flexible, and we are going to address it or dress it up a little bit later. So now I have my pieces here. I can bend them and move them the way I wanted them to go. So next step, I need to add my stamens. And I have this ivory micro stamens. I'll take about 15 double-sided, so 30 in total. So I have my 30 stamens. And the first thing I'm going to do is I wanted to make it a little bit softer and more flexible. So I'm going to hold them on both ends and just move around to break the bond a little bit and make them a little bit more misshapen and not so uniform to make it more visually interesting. And I'm going to cut them in half here and tape to my center. So I'll start with half with floral tape, stretch it, and attach here to my center, and I'll start placing my stamens in groups of 4 or 5, whichever I would find that looks beautiful or more realistic. And I'm trying to place them in different heights. Some of them will go higher and some of them will go lower. And I'm going to tape them almost to the same height as my center. So first group, then I'll take more, place here. So I'm looking from the top and I'm trying to see where I need to add more. I definitely need to add more on that side. So now I'm going to tightly tape them together, and I prefer to cut all the axes because I don't need this extra bulk. And now I'm going to bring my floral tape down, making sure that all my stamens are secured to the stem, like this. And the last step, what I need to do is I'm going to take my tweezers, hold my stamens here at the bottom and just bend them over to make them more open, and you can see the difference between this side and that side. I just wanted to open them up and make them fluffy. And for my green parts, this one, I'm going to bend them over also in the opposite directions from each other. So here's my 2 layers for the hellebore center. And now we need to add tiny leaves, because if you look at any hellebore flower, it has some tiny green leaves around the center. I'm going to use 2 pieces of wafer paper that I cut according to my template, and I'm going to cut it prior to coloring and shaping. So I'm going to cut it in half, then in half again, and in half each part. So I need to create roughly 8 pieces for my leaves, and I'm going to round up these corners here to make it more leaf-like, and same on the other side. Now I have 2 my pieces pre-cut. I'm going to use my wafer paper conditioner. And I'm going to put it on my table because I need just a small amount to shape it. And for my color, I'm going to use airbrush color. This is Forest Green by Color. And I like the shade of green, so that's what I'm going to use. First, I'm going to paint one side and the other. And I'm only painting about halfway, so only the visible part of my leaves. And to shape it, I'm going to take small amount of cornstarch on my brush to prevent it from sticking. Apply to my leaves, or my future leaves. And I'm going to take Drezden tool, or you can use small ball tool to shape. So I have this piece shiny side up because I want the bumpy side to be visible. And I'm going to pull towards me pressing with the thick end of my Drezden tool to shape it like this, and same to the other piece. So again, shiny side up, thick end of my Drezden tool, press and pull towards me to create these leafy shapes. Now I need to attach these pieces to my center, this one. And to do that, I'm going to take my Wafer Paper conditioner. You can use Wafer Paper glue. I have the conditioner here, so I'm going to apply a small amount on the bottom to make it flexible on the shiny side. And then I'm going to place it here onto my center and almost going to pleat and play around, make sure that it looks interesting and it covers my center or my stem here. So this is my first layer. I'm going to pinch it together. So this is my first layer, and I'm going to do the same for the second piece. So just a small amount of Wafer Paper conditioner or water or Wafer Paper glue to soften it up and make it sticky. And I'll start on the opposite side and we'll again pleat and pinch the sleeves together to make sure to add some volume and texture. So something like this. Again, you can see I'm pinching here at the bottom to help the sleeves to open up a little bit. And if you need any help to separate your layers or to play around, feel free to do that while you still have some moisture left and your conditioner is not dry. So like this. And this is my hellebore center. I'm going to set it aside to dry while we are painting our leaves. Now to make our leaves, I'm going to use the same color, airbrush color for the conditioner, and I have my template. For this arrangement, you will need 3 large leaves and 2 small leaves. So what I'm going to do, same as we did for our petals, I'm going to fold my Wafer paper in half, roughly the size of my template, bumpy side out. Because for my leaves, I wanted to see some texture and I'm going to cut them bumpy side out. So for my large leaf and for my small leaf. I'm going to use 28 gauge wire because it's thin and I prefer to use it in white lately because it's easier to blend together. So to start with my leaves, I will mix my conditioner same way as we did for our center. So a few drops of my AC Tonic and a touch of this airbrush color. And I'm going to color first layer, place my wire in the middle, roughly the size of the sleeve, maybe like 4/5 of the size of the sleeve. Cover with another layer, make sure that it's stuck together, and paint on both sides with the conditioner. I'll set it aside to dry on my floral pot, and we'll do the same to the other leaf. If your Wafer paper becomes too soft at this point, you can either leave it to dry stuck to your floral pot like this for maybe 2-3 minutes, or you can use a little bit of cornstarch. Now that I have my pieces almost dry, I'm going to cut my leaves again, same as we did for our petals. I'm placing my template on top and roughly cutting around. And same for my smaller leaves. And I'll show you a cool way how you can add rose leaf texture without spending too much time. So I have my leaf and I have my tiny scissors. So what I'm going to do is cut tiny snips or tiny cuts here throughout my leaf. And then I'm going to connect my bottom point to this part. Then again, this bottom corner to my cut piece. And you can see now I have this beautiful pointy leaf without spending too much time. Same on the other side. So I'm going to cut maybe 2 millimeters in, few pieces here and there, and then connect from the bottom corner to this cut piece in. Now I have my leaves together. I'm going to bend them a little bit, and because I have wire inside, it's relatively easy to bend and shape. And I'm going to wire all my leaves together using light green floral tape. So I have 3 large leaves and 3 small leaves, and I'll start with half width, stretch, and tape 3 leaves here, 3 large leaves. Bring it down a little bit and add my 2 smaller leaves on the opposite side. And bring this down as well. So now I have my leaves and I'm going to dust them and add to my flower. Now that I have my 5 petals here, I'm going to dust them. I'm going to use Cecylia Rose or light pink color for my base, fern or light green as the accent color, and for my dots and all around beautiful darker shade, I'm going to use this aubergine color. So I'll start with my lightest, which is Cecylia Rose, or you can see this is nice pinkish color. And I'm going to dust my petals all around on both sides. When you're going to dust your wafer paper, make sure it's absolutely dry, because otherwise it can get splotchy and not even in coverage. And if your dust color is too bright, you can lighten up using a touch of cornstarch. Okay, so next step, I'll take my fern green color and much smaller brush. I want to add this color only at the bottom of my petal. And you can see I'm trying to be very mindful with the application, because it's easier to add than to take it out. And I'm going to use the same color to dust my leaves. To color my petals, the last color I'm going to use is this aubergine color. And first I wanted to add this as an accent color only on the outside. So I'm loading my brush, same brush I used to dust with the light pink, but I'm going to take it on the outside and just gently scrape almost to add this as an accent color. So like this. And same color I'm going to bring onto my leaf to tie everything together. So I wanted to also use this on the outside and a little bit in to shade these leaves and make the whole arrangement look cohesive. Now I want to paint my dots and lines, and I'm going to use the same aubergine color, but I'm going to mix it with alcohol to create a paste or some sort of paint to be able to put all the dots on my flower. So here I have my brush loaded with this color, and I'm going to start at the bottom of the petal and then move forward with all the beautiful dots of this color. And I'm making my dots quite dark because then I'm going to add more alcohol to this mixture to lighten them up and add more layers with this dot pattern. So this is just first layer. Then I'm going to mix in a little bit of this pink color and add more alcohol to make the mixture lighter. Now I'm going to be more generous with the coverage, and I'm going to bring this pattern even higher here to blend this together. like this, and I will do that to all my 5 petals. And I'm going to use the same dark mixture with alcohol to touch tops of my stamens on my center. Okay, so now I have my center, I have my petals. I'm going to tape everything together. I have my petals. I'm going to bend these wires 90 degrees to open it up. And I have my center with all the parts we've made. And I'll take half with floral tape to start placing everything together. So I'm going to cover this wafer paper part where we added our leaves first. And I'm going to place my 5 petals right below this point. Wafer paper petals are relatively light, so you can use just one layer of floral tape to put them together because they're easy to hold and easy to assemble. And I'm going to bring my floral tape down, maybe 2 inches down, and I'm going to place my leaf or my foliage here the same way. So here's my leaf. I'm going to attach to my stem and tape both pieces together. So now I have my hellebore flower. I'm going to assemble. And you can see, because we have all our petals on separate wires, you can make your flower as open as you wanted to, or you can bring all your petals together and make it like a new or young flower and almost close up like a bud. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now you know how to make beautiful hellebore flower. I hope you are going to make many of them in different shades and colors.